that debuted on July 21st, and I just took my daughter to see it today at one of the AMC locations in my area, and I do not think this movie was for kids. So this movie had me really thinking, and so I'm here to basically just discuss that. So first of all, after this movie was so packed with such deep like ideas, so much depth. There was so many things going on in the movie that after I left, I looked up whether or not the movie was PG-13, because initially a lot of young girls were talking about the movie and running to see the movie. It was a lot of young girls influenced to see the movie, right? Because when we think of Barbie dolls, it's our girls. It's associated with a doll for young girls. So for one, it's PG-13, and it was also considered 12A. So let me just clarify. 12A means that a film has it has moderate, though, wait, what? Okay, no, I'm sorry. It says there can be some strong content, for example, occasional swearing. All right, that's not a good definition. Let me see. All right, so suitable for children aged 12 and over. So it's a film rating that is only used for films shown in cinemas. It means that the film is suitable for children aged 12 and over, but younger children may see it if accompanied by an adult. The adult is responsible for deciding whether the film is appropriate for the child. It's not generally suitable for children under 12. Why does it keep repeating the same thing? Okay, basically it has occasional swearing and some suggestive like behaviors and inappropriate behaviors. Suggestive. And there was a lot of that. And I didn't expect that because, okay, as a female, I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Sonic, the one that has Tika Sumpter in it. And let's see. The Sonic movie that has Tika Sumpter, let me see when that one came out. Oh, come on. Sonic movie. So the Sonic movie that came out with Tika Sumpter, that came out in 2020. It was really good. Yes, she had a husband, but there was not anything inappropriate that went on in the movies, at least that I can remember. I think, let me see what this movie's rating was. It was PG. Yeah, there was not anything inappropriate in that movie, and I love that movie. I took my daughter to see that movie. It was great. It was PG. I think the only thing that may have... Okay, so it says has action, some violence, rude humor, and brief mild language. I occasionally go back and watch that movie because it's that good. It has Jim Carrey in it, but there wasn't anything overly exposing and harmful to kids. So I assumed that the Barbie movie would be the same thing. However, the Barbie movie, it had some sexual innuendos in it, and it was too heavy in this let's see. So there was too much, the word patriarchy came up a lot. So patriarchy came up a lot. It seemed like it was a fight between control, about like a control kind of thing. Who was in power? I don't want to say like government, but I more so want to say like just a fight between the a fight between the genders, like a gender war. There you go, a gender war. And I just was like very confused. I was trying to follow the storyline. So when it begins, it's like Barbie world, and of course Barbies don't walk down the steps. So they picture, or they show Barbie not coming down any steps, but basically being put into her car as she goes throughout her day. Everything is happy. And yeah, when you're playing with your Barbie doll as a young girl, you just put the Barbie in the car, and Barbie doesn't really have, you don't really think, or Barbie doesn't think, Barbie doesn't have any feelings. So Barbie is always happy, always perfect. And Barbie is so many things. You had a Barbie doctor, a Barbie writer, a Barbie president. And the Barbie world was controlled by all of the women, basically. What I did not understand is that the entire time that I've known of Barbie, Ken has always been Barbie's mate. Ken has always been Barbie's boyfriend. Why on earth did they create an idea of Barbie now not wanting to be with Ken, and telling Barbie at the end that Barbie can be whoever she wants to be? I don't get why they changed the storyline. From my knowledge, because I started to look this up after I watched the movie, Ruth Handler, who's the maker of Barbie, is still alive. So I don't know if she had anything to do with this, but I went and looked Ruth Handler up. And when I started to look Ruth Handler up and found out a little bit about her life, it started to make a little bit of sense, because I feel like they fused a little bit of what her life is or was. And I mean, during the interview, she cried. So I don't know if that's what she kind of infused those ideas. I don't know, but it was just a confusing storyline. And I wish that it was a little bit more kid friendly. It should have been promoted as a adult movie, because it seemed more like an adult kind of thing. It was too much thinking going on. I'm an adult, and I couldn't follow it anymore. I was just like, this is getting confusing. This is getting too deep. This is getting too, it was just, it was too much. So, Ruth Handler met her husband when she was 16, if I remember correctly. Met her husband when she was 16, and they got married when she was 21. I don't know how he was, but when she was 21, they got married. They had 2 kids, Barbara, and that's where the name for the Barbie comes from, Barbie. Her daughter resented that because she got teased at school. Years later, that Ken came along because she named the doll after her son. I don't know if his name was like a longer Kenneth, or if it was Ken, but the second doll, the male, was named after her son. So she had her kids. They moved somewhere, and she was back in those times. She was one of the very few of women who actually worked, and it was odd. And she was not a tall or model-esque woman. She was on the shorter, and she was like 5 foot something. And to me, she looked like an attractive woman. She looked beautiful, but she expressed, not feeling I mean, like, nobody feels perfect. Nobody feels. So I guess she was also just trying to express or go against that theory that people say, oh, that, Barbie doesn't help women with self-esteem because Barbie basically endorses the idea of a woman looking perfect and like a model, and an ordinary woman doesn't look like that, and it poses self-esteem or causes self-esteem issues. And Ruth Handler's response to that is that women are going to grow old, or things are going to happen, with women. She's not responsible for a woman having self-esteem issues, because that's going to happen regardless. And I agree with that. We have to converse and be realistic with each other that people are going to have insecurities about how they look, or as you grow older, maybe get wrinkles, or things may not look the same as before. You may not be as happy. And some people are just not happy at all. They may start off not feeling very good about their body. It just happens. Everybody has insecurities, men or women. So she said that she refuted that by saying the doll was not responsible for that just happens, which is true. So as her business developed, she talked about being the only woman amongst men, including her husband, in this business, in the Mattel business, Mattel, that's who makes Barbie, and she was the only woman. And she says she got a lot of pushback on wanting to give the doll breasts, and they were asking her, why would you want to give the doll breasts? So she fought for this. She fought for creating the doll with the breasts. And she said, because as young women, or young girls, they're dreaming about becoming women. And what do women have? When you look at women and you're dreaming or hoping that one day you grow up to become a woman, what do they have? They have breasts. And I would agree with that, because I can remember as a young girl, I didn't have my menstruation, but I saw the women in my family having their menstruation. My sister, perfect example, who's older than me, had her menstruation, and I went and I did not have my menstruation yet, but I went and tried her pad on. I went and put her pad on. So that is true, and I can only speak from my experience that is true. That as a young girl, and you're looking up to the women, whether it be your mother, your aunt, your sister, and aspiring to be a woman, so the doll having breasts is not odd. And not only that, we can speak in the sense of maybe in school, teaching. When we're teaching kids about the human body, about their bodies, it is important to be able to show kids the anatomy. So we have books like that. So I don't think it was odd for her to want to have breasts on the doll. So it was odd back then. It has become very normalized. We are not weirded out if we see a doll with breasts today, thanks to Ruth Handler. So moving forward, she started to develop different dolls. Initially, the dolls did not have a smile on their face, none of them. I think that also changed over time as well. And ultimately, the business took off. I mean, it's not $1 million, it's $1 billion business. Like the business was is very successful, so much so that they started to have issues with the IRS. According to Ruth Handler, she is not the one that reported anything inaccurately. Ruth states that her only error was not getting rid of the people who were not doing their job correctly. It resulted in Ruth getting a five years of community service, and I'm pretty sure she was fined as well. But she was accused or convicted of tax evasion, and that was the penalty. 5 years of community service. After that, Ruth got breast cancer and lost her breast. But I believe before that happened, I'm not going to say, because I'm not sure. I feel like she had issues with her breast before, or some type of surgery, but I'm not going to touch on that because I don't really quite remember that accurately. But I do know that she did get breast cancer and lose her breast. And so the breast thing became very significant because she had fought so hard to have the doll have breasts on it, and now here she was and she actually lost her breast due to breast cancer. So all in all, once I went back and listened to Ruth Handler's story, I saw why some of the things in the movie transpired. And it basically talked about, it was just basically, oops, why did this go out? So it was basically a society in Barbie world of matriarchy. And then there was a society in the real world where they described it as patriarchy. And to me, I felt like that idea, or that was just totally lost, and that had nothing to do with Barbie. And I just didn't know why that was being injected into the film. Initially, when the Barbie movie starts off, they describe Ken as not having any identity and not being anything without Barbie, and he's not anything unless Barbie recognizes him. I've never known that about Ken. I've never known that about Ken. So it was weird for that to be inserted into the film like that. All I knew was that Ken was Barbie's boyfriend. That's it. I didn't know that Ken didn't have an identity. So they made it to seem as if Ken did not have an identity. And it did come off as like, I don't know, it was just like a bashing, or I don't know what this person, who's the director, who wrote this. Let's see who wrote this. Who wrote new Barbie movie? Okay, they said that the Barbie screenwriters are Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. They need to be fired. I know the movie grossed, they said, $1 billion. Director. I just felt like that was too much. That was way too much for children. And it sort of didn't even make any sense. What I did love, I laughed when I saw Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell is hilarious. He is so funny. And that comedic relief when he comes onto the screen was amazing. It really took away from all of the kind of complicated storyline that was going on behind. Will Ferrell was amazing. He always brings that comedic relief. He's amazing. I think that there was a bit of I feel like there was a bit of suggestion of inserting the LGBT community, which is there's no problem with that. But I think there was a little injection of that, because there was a point where Barbie, who is Margot Robbie, and Ryan Gosling, which is Ken, they were in the real world. They were walking down the street, and she was being whistled at. She'd never experienced this before. And while she was walking down the street, she said, you know what, let me go to, she didn't understand her new environment. And she's like, she was looking for women empowerment, she said. And she said, you know what, I know where I can find women empowerment, a construction site. I can, she can bet on that. So she went over to the construction site, and they were basically catcalling and making passes at her and things like that. And when she went there, I lost my train of thought. I totally forgot my point. Oh, okay. The LGBTQ thing. Okay, so when she went over there, she said, I don't have a vajayjay. And I don't remember if she said it or he said it, but, I think she said it. And he doesn't have anything either. And when they walked off, though, he said, I do have genitals. But I just kind of felt like that was an insertion of the LGBT community in a sense of saying like, I don't have a gender. I could be reaching, but that was weird to kind of insert that. And I know a lot of it could just be it could just be nothing, but I just thought that was, even if that was humor, that was a little bit, I don't know, I thought the movie was supposed to be for kids. And we were talking about genitals and vagina and talking about I just things that I thought. So if Barbie Land is a fantasy world for kids, why are we talking about these like kind of heavy stuff? It was kind of heavy. So let me know what you think. That's my best interpretation of it. I think that Ruth's world was kind of fused in there. I think that it's a great story to tell. Ruth's story is a great story to tell. I think it could have been told better. If you're going to use the Barbie movie to tell it, I think it could have been told better. That's my problem. And in a more imaginative way, and not to leave the kids confused, because even I was confused, because a lot of these movies like Sonic, they when they mix it with the real world and the animation, it's still kind of fun. And they kind of sucked the fun out of this one for me. It was okay. If I was to rate it from 1 to 10, I'll give it like a 5. You know, I was hyped, I was amped. I love pink, and I sat there and I wore my pink shoes. I sat there and I was amped. I love to see the outfits. That was fun for me. That it is supposed to be, Barbie is supposed to be a getaway, an imaginary, I'm sorry, not imaginary, an imaginative thing where you get away from, you know, you go and play, you get to play dress up, all the things that, you know, stereotypically girls love to do. So like, let's say stereotypically guys like to play basketball or ride trucks and cars and things like that. If they go to see a movie about riding cars and trucks and whatever, you know, it shouldn't be infused with who's taking over the world. I think I don't know. It was just too much. Let me know what you think down below. That's my complicated review of the Barbie movie. My daughter did like it. I thought it was okay. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.